Dynasty panic chamber time. It's time to talk about what players we're panicking on, or maybe we're hearing we should be panicking on, but not so fast. There are two names on here. I think you can guess which two I'm going to debunk in terms of panic type behavior on any of your parts or mine. And we're breaking down these names, maybe more if we open the phone lines. The Dynasty channel is here to bring you Panic Chamber episode number 1 live. So like the video on the way in the door, get ready for open phone lines. Let's break it down. The Panic Chamber begins now.
You are entering the Panic Chamber, brought to you by theattic.shop. Vintage movie tees and hoodies. Are you a panicked Peter? Let's find out. You are entering the Panic Chamber. Chamber.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking Mark Andrews, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Christian McCaffrey, Kyren Williams, and Achane. These are often talked about players that you should maybe be worried about, trading away, panic, dynasty values, questionable. And for the most part, there's a lot of truth to the names you see on screen. And you could even say that there's some risk level with Kyren and Achane that I would gladly refute, gladly take the risk on because of the cuffing situations that are available to you to be had. Let's start off with Kyren and Achane to kind of give you a sense of what I'm thinking in terms of what you're hearing. Kyren Williams, oh, you got Blake Corum coming in, right? Better prospect. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant conversation. Doesn't matter what kind of prospect he was coming out of college. Number one, I liked him a lot coming out of college. I had a bunch of videos on him. I'm very disappointed in myself that after he injured himself his rookie year and let me down, that I just got off the horse. I wasn't down on him. I still liked him, but I wasn't pushing content. I wasn't extremely excited about his week one. I admit I should have been. It's one of my biggest regrets last year is not doubling down like I'm willing to do with Christian Watson this year. I'll double down on Watson. Even if I get it wrong, it's sound logic that he figured out his hamstring. Look, Watson should be on here as well in a way. But let's keep it to the players at hand here. Kyren Williams has Blake Corum, this better prospect, come in to what? What's he going to do with Blake Corum? Is he going to get his coffee? Is he going to get his coffee? He wants his coffee. 2 sugars, please. You think that this guy, Blake Corum, is coming in to take Kyren Williams' job? The man that McVay trusts with his life? The man that McVay says can't stay off the field? The man McVay says keeps his team on its toes? It's a totally different team with him on the field. This could be the leading rusher in the NFL in 2024. This could be the guy that gets the most rushing yards and most rushing touchdowns in 2024. And all this rookie coming in turns out to be Tank Bigsby, ends up making people look foolish at the end of the day. I will say that McVay's system's so good that if Kyren does go down for 2 or 3 or 4 games, and we have a player like Corum come into the system, they're gonna have 100 yards and a touchdown, or a good chance of it. There'll be a watered down version of what Kyren would have did that game. Even 70-80% of what Kyren could do is still a potential 100 yards and a touchdown, or 0.8 touchdowns per start and 80 to 90 rushing yards per start for Corum or any running back that steps into a McVay system. And on top of that, you have an abundance of opportunities to cuff Blake Corum to Kyren Williams. Where's Blake Corum going? 2.1, 1.12, 2.4, 2.3. If you had to, and you have Kyren Williams, you could surrender a 26 first rounder and say, look, I'd take Corum in the back end of the first round this year to secure to my Kyren Williams. So what's the difference in giving up a future 26 first rounder that the person might think, well, this could be a 2 or a 3 or a 5 overall pick, but 2026 will not be kind to that person holding your draft selection. It will be essentially a second round pick. There's abundance of opportunity to cup this situation, as is this situation. So opening the panic chamber back up, sticking Achane and Kyren in because this is basically rinse and repeat for both situations. We go back to the handcuff board and we say, this is very easy to draft in a startup draft. This is very easy to cuff and trade for and accumulate. This is not so much if your draft has already occurred and someone drafted Corum. They're kind of going to be weird about it. You might not even be able to get them, but you need to make sure if your rookie draft hasn't occurred yet, you go get the pick necessary to grab Corum before somebody gets their kung fu grip on the situation and just tries to make your life a mess. But at the end of the day, if I'm in a situation where I can go trade for Kyren Williams on the cheap, even without Corum, I'm going to do it 10 times out of 10. I could care less what anybody says about this man. I could care less that people think he's injury prone. I could care less that people think him and Achane can't stay healthy, or that Achane can't be some sort of workhorse running back. I laugh at the opportunity that's out there for the taking to grab these two gentlemen and make them your running back two, have two of them on your squad, and they will represent running back one value in 2024 and beyond. Achane's the most explosive running back probably in the entire National Football League. And if you don't think that to be true, I don't know that you know ball very well, because this man's averaging 7.8 yards per carry, the most ever in the history of the NFL with over 100 carries. He's the number one running back in the history of the NFL in yards per carry, and he did so with over 100 carries. He did so not on 200 yards rushing or 100 yards rushing like a receiver getting a certain number of carries and having this astronomically high yards per carry. This is a running back 800-yard season, 8 touchdown rushing touchdown season, 3 receiving touchdown season, 11 total touchdown season, that he became the number one back in the history of the NFL in yards per carry. If you want to win at fantasy, you will cuff Achane to right. You don't need Mostert long-term, to be quite frank. It doesn't hurt. I traded for Mostert on a very, 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 very cheap deal. It was like a wide receiver, like 5 or 6. Got Mostert in one league. I already drafted right. I have Achane. I'm set. In my other Dynasty league, it's actually a follower league that I'm in. I traded my Kyle Pitts to downgrade into Dallas Goedert to get the 1.12, I believe it was, or the 2.1. I think it's 1.12, so that I could draft Blake Corum. You got to do some sacrificing. I didn't want to trade Kyle Pitts, but I love Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert is a top 5 or 6 running back. It also gave me a first rounder to coordinate and secure up my running back room. There are ways to get it done. And if you think that Corum's taking Kyren's job, I'm sorry if this is offensive to you, but I don't know what in the hell you're watching. I don't know that you're watching my channel. I don't think you understand. If you did, you wouldn't say it. You wouldn't think it. You wouldn't dare dream of it. If you know what you're talking about in terms of this topic, you'd know that this man is one of the most efficient running backs in the National Football League between the tackles. Maybe he gets hurt, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he runs so hard like Pacheco, you count on 2 or 3 missed games this season. But no one's taking his job. If my life was on the line and he's healthy in the game, and you say, Smitty, who are you picking? You need 100 yards and a touchdown, or it's over, buddy. I'm saying, Kyren and Smitty, punch it in, baby. Punch it in. This man right here is the best bet for 100 yards and a touchdown in the entire National Football League. Do you know who's saying, oh, it's Corum season, it's Corum season? Those that don't have the luxury, or, no offense, the astute ability to see this situation for what it is. And you're either hung on to the past, living in regret, and you don't want to be wrong yesterday, so you're trying to dig a deeper hole today. You want to feel better about yesterday's mistakes. You want to feel like you didn't miss the boat. You want to feel like, I wasn't wrong. How could I have missed this so blatantly? How could I have ignored it again over and over all season last year? I kept digging a hole. I got to continue to dig it, right? He's going to lose his job to Corum. He has to, right? No. Corum's not a better player than Kyren Williams. If anybody says that, it's the most illogical thing I've ever heard in my life. And I'm sending you on a lap. Doesn't change the fact that the system is amazing. Doesn't change the fact that if you cuff these two together, you have the most secure top 1 to 5, not top 5, top 1 to 5 running back in fantasy football. It's probably more secure than drafting just Christian McCaffrey this year, in redraft even. It's probably more secure than drafting just Bijan. It's probably more secure than drafting anybody to have both Blake Corum and Kyren Williams. Now, would I take Bijan over him? Of course I would. I'm not a moron. Not to mention the draft capital is not even close. This is not that kind of conversation, pal. It's not. This is just saying if you could have, let's say, Jamar Chase at number 5 and get Blake Corum later and take Kyren Williams in round 3, that might be a better way to build your fantasy team, is it not? That's what we're really talking about. But at the end of the day, we start ranking running backs. Corum and Kyren might be number 1 overall in terms of security, especially at the cost of entry. Are we live, Hazelnut? No, this is a replay, Hazelnut. Try back tomorrow. This is an unbelievable situation. No different than this one. If anybody thinks this kid, Achane's not built to be a running back, I don't know what you're looking at. I have no idea who you're listening to, but I would stop watching whatever you're watching immediately because they're telling you to jump off a bridge. They're telling you to not look, just leap. They're not telling you logical things. This man could absolutely, we looked at his numbers. We broke it down earlier on the show. And Achane, if you took Achane's stats from last year, the ones that got him, what did we see? Running back, what was it? Achane played, he missed a grip of games, but if you extrapolate his played games, right? His played games, where's this? I think I have his numbers right here. You extrapolate this data in which he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. You take these games where he was a top 8 running back in 50% of them. He was a top 5 running back in 40%. 4 out of his 10 games, he was a top 5 running back. You extrapolate this data into a 17-game season, and it's a pretty big sample, 10 games. He's running back number 2. He's running back number 2 off of this data right here. And the funny part is he's going to explode from this line right here. Here's what my projection is for De'Von Achane. 1,100 rushing yards, maybe 1,200. 6.5 yards per carry. That's a cakewalk. We've even used 5.9. It still comes out to him being running back 2. 10 touchdowns on the ground. Very logical considering he had 8 last year. Very logical considering he'll play more than 10 games this year. Very logical considering he put on about 10 pounds of muscle. And 3 tutties, we'll give him 4 to 6. We'll just give him 4. 14 total touchdowns, 10 rushing, 4 receiving. 425, give him 400 receiving. Let's lowball it. Give him 50 receptions. Let's lowball it. This is running back 2. You cuff him to the easiest player to cuff him to in Dynasty or redraft. Obviously, Wright's going to cost more in Dynasty, but you can do it very easily. You have a top 5 running back. These are 2 top 5 running backs. So when you ask me, Smitty, are we putting Kyren and Achane in the panic chamber like everyone else because they're panic Peters? Absolutely not. We're taking them out. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. We got some gifted memberships going on in the YouTube exclusive membership world here on the Dynasty channel. Gifted memberships by Superfish. 5 gifted memberships by Superfish. Thank you very much, Superfish, for dropping that. Superfish gifted another 5 memberships. That is a total of 10. Thank you, Superfish, for doing that. That's absolutely amazing. This Dynasty channel ain't going anywhere. I promise you, it's one of my 4 pillars of focus for this brand and this channel. We're doing it live, okay? It's going to be an amazing, amazing season, and the Dynasty channel ain't going nowhere. As far as Mark Andrews, I don't know how long this video will be. That was probably the meat and potatoes of the video. I'll make it quick on these 3 guys. Look, Andrews is... Ziggy, how old is Mark Andrews? Ziggy, How old is Mark Andrews?
Mark Andrews is 45 years old.
45. No. Well, that definitely stay away from Mark Andrews if he's 45 years old. Okay, hold on. Let's see what Ziggy's missing. Mark Andrews, age. He is turning 29 in September. So before the season starts, right before the season starts, he turns 29 years old. Not 45, but it feels like 45. He'll look like he's 45. This guy hasn't played, a full season in a little bit of time. And I think at the end of the day, we got to ask ourselves, is Mark Andrews, I think I have his totals here. So is Mark Andrews, who's been declining the last 2 years and missing, more games each consecutive year, and he's had a history of injuries, even though he hasn't missed like a full season necessarily. He's been in and out of the lineup and come back and not been efficient, et cetera, et cetera. Here's his stat line right here. 16 games played in 2018, 15, 14, 17, 15, and 10. And last year, he just wasn't very efficient when he was even back at some points. And I know that everybody wants to say he was hurt. Well, things will get better for him. But at 29 years old, given I'm getting a sense that he's going to struggle with injury each and every season going forward, I think now's the time to get out on Mark Andrews. And I think people are excited enough about this offense and the addition of Derrick Henry, and just that the offense will be in the red zone quite a bit. Thanks again. Superfish dropping more gifted memberships. I think Superfish dropped, let's see here, I think a total of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, I think. 5, 10, 15. Yeah, 25 gifted memberships by Superfish. What is going on here? What is going on here?
Mashed potatoes! Yeah, buddy.
Superfish to the moon. Goodness gracious. Thank you, Superfish. Appreciate you. I'm going to say I'm panicking on Andrews. I'm saying let's go get a safer, younger tight end. Let's go get Luke Musgrave and something. Let's see if we can get some draft values. To move up a early second looking draft pick into a late first round draft pick. Let's move a running back into Kyren Williams. Let's turn a running back into Achane. Let's go grab a Christian Watson for free. Let's go do something like that. Excuse me, something like that. Or some sort of additional player, upgrade our quarterback slightly, do something of significance for our roster in order to get rid of Andrews and get that Luke Musgrave. Other tight ends that might fit the bill for that would be something of the tune of, you're not going to get a Kincaid. You're not going to get a Trey McBride. You're not going to be able to upgrade. You may be able to trade a first rounder in Andrews to get a Kincaid, a first rounder in Andrews to get a Laporta, a first rounder in Andrews to get a McBride if you want to go that 2-for-1, you giving up the 2, or go get a Brock Bowers. My advice would be, even if you give up a second rounder, you give up something significant like that. In addition to Andrews, Brock Bowers has been soured on. Everybody's thinking Brock Bowers might not be that guy. He's not in a great situation. It's a very good buy low situation on Brock Bowers. I highly recommend that people do it. Let's see. What are the running tight end? Luke Musgrave. Let's see. Dallas Goedert's older, but I don't mind Ben Sinnott in a side piece to go with whatever you can cook up. So get Ben Sinnott and some sort of player that is a massive upgrade or addition for you, and then get rid of Andrews while you can. But Andrews, I'm totally out on it in Dynasty. I don't want to consume any Andrews shares when I'm trying to envision this guy, playing healthy seasons going forward. I just don't know. Maybe he gives us one really, really good year. Not saying it's impossible. Make sure you're getting something you value a ton long term, so that if Andrews does go out and have a good year, you won't be super disappointed. That's the whole thing about the nature of these situations, is like, Andrews, what are you doing there? I just closed the... He's coming back. Maybe he's going to have a good year. Maybe that's an omen. There he is. He's gone. He's gone now. Oh, we flushed him down the toilet. But make sure, again, anytime I say this guy could struggle, right? This guy could struggle, get rid of him potentially. You always have to make sure that if things go awry and the player has a good year, you're still very happy with your trade and it breaks even. Never make a trade that if you're wrong on your assessment of the player you're getting rid of, if you're wrong on that, never make a trade that in the worst of scenarios where that player does play well, you don't still walk away happy in a break-even situation. That's the key to a trade. So that way no one can come back and say, you shouldn't have made that trade, Andrews, had another year and a half left. That doesn't matter. I got Luke Musgrave and an additional player like Keon Coleman or a Malachi Corley or a Ricky Pearsall. You took a gamble on Pearsall and got a Ben Sinnott, and you got rid of Andrews, and you took a gamble on both having two players that could break out. And if only one does, you still did well on the trade. If Andrews has 2 years left, so be it. Christian McCaffrey, this one's tough. It is what it is. Like, he probably does have one more year left. I mean, even if he misses a couple games, you could supplement that with Zamir White off your bench, or Trey Benson might get into the lineup just in the nick of time, and whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, this is your last opportunity to get unquestionable high value. If you walk out of next season with Christian McCaffrey on your roster, people may be treating him like Eckler to you. I know it doesn't feel like that now, but he's going to be 28 years old and play at 28 through the entirety of this season. And that's just not something that I can advise you to go down that road and expect your dynasty team to be a legitimate contender unless you stacked your team to the rafters and you can go ahead and make this risk. And then, 8 chances on your bench or something. You're playing in a grandma league. But in this case, I would try. This is a trade that I made in a follower dynasty league, and I couldn't be happier about it. This was a fantastic move for me, and this is the kind of value that CMC still has in a dynasty league right now. So if you think that he's not tradable, I just did it. And when I made the trade, nobody had a crap fit about it. They said, cool trade or whatever. No one even complained. I thought maybe someone would hate this trade for the CMC receiving team. But in a dynasty, pure dynasty, I traded CMC. I got Achane. And I got DK Metcalf. I was thrilled. I was thrilled about it. This team has been winning the championship, I think, 2 years in a row in this particular league. And getting rid of CMC was carried me a lot of the way. He could carry me one more time, absolutely. But getting Achane and DK Metcalf, that you're not going to be able to do that next offseason. You may not be able to do it in every scenario. You got to ask a lot of people. But thank you, Kobo, for becoming a YouTube exclusive member here on the Dynasty channel. This is not an easy task. You can't just send one offer out and get this accepted. You got to talk with about 10, 11 people at a time. You got to send out 2 to 3 offers at a time, or have 2 to 3 conversations going. It's not easy work trading away a Christian McCaffrey. It's not everybody's desire to acquire a player like that, but there are a lot of people that let their fandom or their desire to win right now, you could say, influence their opinion. But this was an absolute smash for me. Just a straight up smash. And I couldn't believe, when this came through, I hit accept. And I'm not saying whoever's out there that made this trade with me, I don't know, somebody raise your hand if it was you. It's not like you didn't get good value. You could win the league off this, but it's 1 year, and then what? So that's how I feel about that. So Christian McCaffrey, absolutely hitting the panic chamber button, and I think we need to get rid of him now, in Dynasty. I have a feeling he didn't go away because I didn't. There we go. Now he's gone. Okay, Rashee Rice. Do I really have to have a conversation about this? The red flags. I talk about this all the time. When a player has multiple red flags, walk away. If you can get into a safer vehicle that has no red flags or just one red flag. He's got the fact that he's going to be in his own head all year this year. He's going to get suspended at some point. Is he going to fall out of favor? Is Hollywood Brown the new favorite choice by Mahomes? I don't see any positive, outlook for this guy long term. However, if you own him and you can't get rid of him for anything, don't just sell him off for the best offer. You're going to have to wait until the wheels fall off or hope that there's some sort of rebound or resurgence. And look, this is the NFL. They're capable of anything. And if we think he's guaranteed to do this or that or have this harsh punishment, we don't know. We fully don't know. At the end of the day, we might be just scratching our heads at this. But at the same time, I think Hollywood Brown is there to stay. Worthy's there to stay. This is not, think about it this way. if let's say Rice didn't have a single off the field issue at all, okay, we're just sitting here going, Rice had a great year, twiddle my thumbs. I'm just waiting for the season to count down. They draft Worthy alone. Let's say they didn't even acquire Hollywood Brown. They draft Worthy. Everyone's going to be so upset, running for the hills, going, oh, Rice, there goes Rice's value. Such a good, promising player. And they just drafted Worthy. That alone would have people just running away. And then they bring in Hollywood Brown. Imagine if they didn't draft Worthy. And they just, Rice had a great year. You're twiddling your thumbs. You're waiting for the season. And they trade for Hollywood Brown. Son of a bee. This is going to really hurt Rashee Rice's value. I'm going to stay away. So it's like you put a frog in boiling water. The analogy is, at least, he jumps out, right? Put a frog in boiling water. He burns himself. He jumps out. You put a frog in boiling water and turn it on lukewarm. Then you turn it on medium. Then you turn it on high. He slowly boils to death. He doesn't notice the temperature change. He's sitting there and he boils to death. He doesn't know. It's so gradual that it doesn't affect him. We've all been sitting here in boiling water, lukewarm water being turned up slightly. We're not realizing all of the things going on for Rashee Rice and against Rashee Rice. Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, the off the field concerns, the concerns on top of the likely suspension and the likelihood of coming back to a starting job and the likelihood of being out of tune and out of sync with Mahomes and never really getting his trust back. There are literally 3 red flags sitting right in front of you because they've all happened one at a time. We're like the frog in boiling water. We're thinking, oh, he still could bounce back, right? No, how could he? On one of those things, we would have ran away. So Rice, no way. He's done. I don't want anything to do with him. I'm going to try and get whatever I can. Go get a Ricky Pearsall. Go get a Ricky Pearsall. And the final. Look at all these gifted memberships coming in hot. Kobo gifted 5. Kobo became a member. Superfish dropping them like they're hot all night long here in the live chat. Appreciate you both. Kobo and Superfish to the mother freaking moon. No, to Saturn. To Saturn. All right, here we go. Kelce. I mean, this is obvious. Just get rid of him. You're holding your breath that he has one more good year. If you can get rid of him for... I mean, throw out a couple options. Give me that Ricky Pearsall in player package. Give me 2 players, one of which could be one of which is a deep call breakout like Ricky Pearsall. The other one is some sort of, I mean, you could even, if you wanted to go in the direction of the tight end situation, you could literally you could try and go after Bowers straight up for him. You could say, give me Bowers and I'll give you Kelce. And maybe the person is going to go, no, I want more. Maybe they won't. Look, I just got Achane and DK for CMC in a follower Dynasty league. There's a world where people would say, Smitty, I can't get Achane alone for CMC. I'd have to give up something. So I don't know. You don't know until you test the waters. Maybe Bowers is worth more to the person you're trying to acquire Bowers from. If so, do I give up a second rounder? Do I give up potentially another player, smaller piece? Sure. I would consider Bowers much more valuable than Kelce. So if you got to throw in second rounders, I'd even consider throwing a first rounder in to get Bowers over Kelce in a dynasty, but that's me. That's not for everybody. You talk about Ricky, you go get Ricky Pearsall plus something. What's that something? I don't know. Maybe you can get a pick that lands you Ricky and Benson somehow. Maybe you can get a future first rounder from somebody that wants to win now. Maybe you can go get a Zamir White and take a gamble on Zamir and get Ricky Pearsall. Maybe you can do some sort of package, but if you do this, I do love the idea of getting some home run shot that may or may not work out, but this isn't the bulk of the trade. You're getting something very secure that helps you out. If you were to go the tight end route and you get Ben Sinnott, you go get Ben Sinnott, and then you're able to potentially, come on, focus. You're able to potentially get this other player here. I don't know, maybe this is Benson here. Like things like that. You could get Ben Sinnott and Benson. Maybe this is a Zamir White. Maybe this is a Zach Moss. Maybe this is a quarterback upgrade. Maybe you go get a Dallas Goedert, even though he's older. I still love the value. I still love that he could play a couple more years and be just fine. I think he and Kelce aren't that I mean, they're obviously Goddard's a lot younger. Can I get a focus here? Can I get a focus here? Goddard and player. I mean, there's so many players we could insert here, but I love the 2-for-1 because it gives you 2 shots at getting it right, and especially that Pearsall thing. And I don't necessarily take Goddard and Pearsall. Maybe I do. I mean, maybe I do. But the reason I like this is because this alone is my long shot home run. This is trying to get my Puka Nacua. This is trying to get something that if it fails, I still, in a sense, have a chance to break even in the trade. Make sure you're doing a 2-for-1 if you're going and trading away a Christian McCaffrey, like I did in my example, or a 2-for-1 you're getting to when you trade away a Kelce. Give yourself 2 shots to not mess it up, and make sure one of them is a home run potential grab. Another player that comes to mind in that situation, let's say you were to go get Musgrave, or as some people call him, Musgrove. Let's say you'll go get Musgrave and you get Ricky that way. Like that's an interesting trade for a Kelce in a dynasty league. You get a home run shot with Ricky. You get a really nice prospect that you think could be a top 6-7 tight end of the future. Other tight end options include, as I said, Brock Bowers. That's going to cost you maybe more. It's interesting to go after an injured Hawkinson. I don't really like that, but it's an idea. I love Ben Sinnott, Ferguson, and Ricky Ferguson. You could even say throw Ricky out, Smitty. I don't like Ricky. Go get Jaden Reed. Go get Christian Watson. Christian Watson would be a fantastic player that is part of that 2 package. You get Watson and somebody. And so for that reason, Kelce, we're getting rid of you, pal. All right, dial into the phone line. Dial into the Addict.shop phone lines so we can discuss this Dynasty conversation real quickly. We won't be here too much longer, so I'll take just a few phone calls. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Let me see what some of you guys are saying here. Dynasty is king, says Sick Nasty. Appreciate you. Who will be... What do you guys got here? Let me see. Trying to get some of your comments in here. Dalton Schultz has a lot of company on the feed. Dalton's hard to value. Let's see, imposter Saturn emoji. Does anybody in here have the Saturn emoji? Maybe someone mentioned that, but a lot of Mars and moon men in here. Superfish, appreciate you. Oh, not here. You wouldn't in here because we haven't had it for 2 years. I don't think I've even set up the emojis to be the same. So I got to go in there and do that. But at 2 years, you get the Saturn emoji. I forgot we were on the Dynasty channel. I was looking for Saturn emojis. But yeah, dial into the phone line if you guys have any questions. I'll be here for just a few more minutes to answer questions. I definitely would love to have a few panic chamber potential candidates thrown out to conversate about. Phone lines are open. Dial in. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Superfish and Coble, dropping gifted memberships. Let's see here. Gifted 5 memberships. We had Superfish gifting 5. Superfish gifting 5. Superfish gifting another 5. Another 5. Amazing. Another 5. And Coble gifting 5. Coble, appreciate you dropping it like it's hot, pal. Both of you just unbelievable. Thank you, Coble. Thank you, Superfish times 5. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anybody else dropping any other gifted. Okay, I think that's it. Okay. Travis, what's up? You're live.
Hey, Smitty, what's going on?
What's up?
I'm just pulling my team up here. So would you rather have Kittle or Andrews in Dynasty?
Andrews. Kittle having that core
me
injury.
too.
He had that core injury, lost 30 pounds according to the reports. We didn't talk about that today. We'll talk about it tomorrow when we have more of a news show. We had a Panic Chamber episode on the main channel, just like this here on the Dynasty channel. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. But Kittle had that core injury. He lost 30 pounds. He was struggling with it. He also does some wrestling stuff, which I don't think is a wise idea at all. I don't know how these players are allowed to do that. I don't know why he put himself in a position that's maybe he injured his core and a certain thing like that came back. But anyway, he's an injury risk. He plays really hard. He plays like Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Even when I talk to Raj and the Niner guys, they even admit that his career probably will not be as long as it should be because of how he plays. He gets that extra yard. He hangs himself up a lot. Like he'll get, someone will grab a hold of his ankle, and instead of just going down, he'll hop around, and then somebody will just come by and level him, and it just puts himself in the worst positions known to man. Bill the Tickler on the phone. Bill, you always call on the Dynasty channel. Do you not like the main channel? Do you have something against the main channel? Because when it's the Dynasty channel, you dial up immediately. I'm just curious what the difference is for you. Bill? Hello, Bill? Bill?
Really?
Smitty.
Did you hear my question?
No, it was delayed. You were talking to me. You said I don't like the main channel.
No, I was just curious. Like, this is not a bad thing. I'm just curious. When I go live
but I came in late. Like it finally dialed in, and you were already halfway talking. That was a weird thing. I've never experienced
okay,
that.
so here's my question, and it's not a bad thing. I'm just curious. When I go live on the Dynasty channel, you call in almost like clockwork. When I go live late on the main channel, we barely hear from you. I'm just asking what the difference is for you. Do you subscribe to the bell notifications on the Dynasty, but not the main channel? I'm just curious because you dial in like clockwork on the Dynasty channel.
No, actually, no. I dial in like clockwork on the main channel, and I tune in when I can on the Dynasty.
Okay.
I have a totally different opinion than you, but you're the one that strikes.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but what can I do for you, Bill?
No, but you told me I call in on the main channel all the time. But you told me that you thought I was more fit for the Dynasty channel. I still don't have a Dynasty team. I still have a Dynasty league.
Okay, well,
so that's still.
Keep searching.
But
You'll
I
get
actually have a Dynasty question because I'm building a Dynasty team
in your head
as best I can. Yes.
What do you mean?
Yes,
what do you mean?
head, yes.
You just said you don't have a Dynasty.
You caught me.
And what's your imaginary Dynasty question, Bill? I don't know what's going on here.
Travis, thanks for the mod. Appreciate the modification. Well, so the question is the Packers, because you got Watson. He was he was hyped up last year and he kind of fell. Now we got Reed, but then Dobbs can steal a game here or there. So for going forward, dynasty wise, Packers, you got Love, but then who's the receiver? It's probably Reed, but Watson will have his moments. If he stays healthy, he'll have his moments. But the Romeo Dobbs can steal a game out of nowhere, and that's where
it's such a weird
week to week. That's the
like,
non-dynasty.
Don't
week to week, the redraft.
Yeah, hold on, Bill. Zip it up. Hold on, Bill.
Don't overthink
All right.
it. Don't overthink it. Go ahead.
Here's what I'm going to say. This is the weirdest topic to me because everyone's got a passionate opinion about Wicks or Dobbs or Wicks. Usually people don't have the passionate opinion about the two better receivers that are better by a landslide, and that's Reed and Christian Watson. I'm not saying Wicks is garbage. Everyone takes this the wrong way. I'm not saying Dobbs is garbage. Everybody takes this the wrong way. But Jaden Reed is Deebo Samuel, watered down a little bit, but not incapable of becoming fully a Deebo type player. I'm not saying it's impossible, but he's a little bit watered down. He's like an 80% version of Deebo, which is fantastic, but he's still getting better. He could turn into Deebo. But he runs 200 yards, 250 yards a season. Here he will, like he did last year. He'll score 2 or 3 touchdowns on the ground. That is a huge little additional bonus piece to add to his line. And he's amazing. And then Christian Watson, every time Watson was on the field, he was the number 1 wide receiver statistically for Jordan Love. He was better than Reed. Even though Reed looked better, Reed, like in your memory, it feels like Reed was better, but Watson statistically was the number 1 wide receiver on the field. So Dobbs and Wicks no one even can decide who's going to be the guy that gets more work, Dobbs or Wicks. So how can one of them be better than Reed or Watson, the starters? Now, if Watson goes down, then yeah, one of them is going to step in. If I had to guess, I'd probably say it's going to be a rotation, but I'd say Wicks maybe, but they might rotate scoring. I think both of them are very good players. They're just not better than Reed or Watson. And I don't know if you're caught up on Watson, but they figured out what's wrong with them. They did like $4 million in testing on his body, and the NFL paid for it. And they figured out that, one leg was 30% smaller than the other leg. And it had to do with a bunch of hamstring injuries and other injuries that he never fully recovered from. It's very common. I bet you that there's a ton of players that have this going on. Maybe it's a little lesser percentage, like 24%, 22%, but it is very common. I can guarantee you that Aaron Rodgers' two legs are nowhere near the same size right now because of the Achilles. That's a huge one. The atrophy, the fact that you can't do any explosion from the leg, the other leg's going to carry the weight, it works even harder than normal. So you can't even in a year's time get both of them the same size. It takes longer than that. My ACL tear that I had in the early 2000s has still left my legs at different sizes. My calves are if you put them side by side, it's the only way you could tell. It's not so obvious, but you put them side by side and you can tell my right calf is bigger than my left calf. But that's just the nature of these injuries. They figured this out. He's been working on it, fixing it. And so if Christian Watson can get back to the form and player that we thought he was last year, I'm going to double down. And if I'm wrong, I don't care. You know why? Because he's going so late. It doesn't cost anybody anything. I don't lose sleep. No one loses a league. No one's even mad at me if it doesn't work out, because he is practically free in my eyes, at least. So Christian Watson to the moon. Jaden Reed's a little more expensive, but I still love him. I love Luke Musgrave. Wicks and Dobbs are good handcuffs, especially in best ball, but they're not players I'm drafting to expect to start. Could he steal a game like you said, Bill? Sure. But I'm not starting a guy I'm hoping steals a game. I'm starting the starter.
I'm loving the outside community sleeping on Musgrave. Musgrave is a sleeper, and I'm so thankful that everybody else, when I draft, where I draft my leagues, that they're sleeping on him. I'm so thankful for that.
Yes, sir. I'm thankful for that too.
Musgrave to the half moon. I don't know what do you do.
Yeah, no, he could go. He could go to the full moon.
To the moon.
Musgrave season, baby.
Full moon.
Yeah. He can full moon Musgrave. Full moon him. Full moon him. All right, hey boys.
I love full moon.
Yeah,
Travis.
I bet you do. Hey, I gotta go because it's been a 40-minute show. I'm tired. Any final thoughts, Bill? And then I'll go to Travis.
No, appreciate the insight. Thanks for taking my call. As always, Smitty. I appreciate it.
Hey,
and I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry? You sound so down.
Why am I not?
I don't know.
Why am I not?
You didn't do anything wrong.
Never apologize, Bill.
Yeah, don't
I
apologize.
didn't do anything wrong.
Don't apologize for
Hey,
being Bill the
Smitty,
Tickler.
Smitty, you testify in a court of law. I didn't do anything wrong. All right.
There's Bill. Bill the Tickler, ladies and gentlemen. Why do you call him Bill the Tickler? Later. Why do you call him Bill the Tickler? That's why. It sounds like he's being tickled. Yep. The creepiest name ever given to a human being, and I gave it to him. All right. Hey, Travis, any final thoughts real quick? I got to go get another 2,000, 3,000 steps in.
Yeah, just quick. TJ Hawkinson, dynasty-wise, he still is only 26.
Yeah.
So where do you have him in, conjunction with Andrews, Kittle, that group there?
Yeah. So that was where I said, maybe you trade Kelce for Hawkinson and then Ricky Pearsall, and then you're kind of screwed for year one of having that. But again, you're getting the two pieces, one of which could win the trade all by itself. And Ricky, if he lands, and if Ricky doesn't land, well, then you have Hawkinson, So that's the kind of trade I love to do. Get the two players for the one bigger player. It's the best way to make a dynasty trade like that, because you're asking somebody to take a current stud in Kelce or McCaffrey Okay, you can't go get an equally rising star Gibbs. You can't go do that. Because Gibbs is a first rounder. Breece Hall. You can't get Breece Hall. You can't get somebody like that. But Achane and Kyren are doubted. People are already scared owning them right now. The fear is striking them left and right. And so Achane, you get this third round and falling redraft player. Imagine what his dynasty value is. Probably late third round or fourth round. You get Achane in DK. I got Achane and DK for Christian McCaffrey. Go get two players. Get two players you love that are undervalued, or go get a Ricky Pearsall and a Bowers or Ricky, whatever you can cook up, and just make sure, you're getting rid of the better player. It's just, you don't know how long you have with them. But if you wait until that question's that really embedded in everyone's mind, like, can he do it again? Everybody knows McCaffrey's going to do it. In their mind, he's going to do it one more year. So you got to get rid of him. Kelce, one more year. Andrews, I believe everybody feels like he's got one more year. And maybe he does. And again, that's where you're making a trade where you're happy even if Andrews does ball out. You're, okay, I got it wrong, but I still broke even. It's kind of like, best example, I don't know. You get the example. All right. Hey, Travis.
Yeah, I get you.
Call in tomorrow.
Thanks, Smitty.
All right, later, bro. See you on Patreon later.
Bye.
I'll be on Patreon as well, guys. If you don't know, Patreon is where the community hangs out. 365. Here's the Patreon link. If anybody doesn't have it yet, you can jump on into the Patreon. It's got 10 live chats. The first 240 or 200 people. First 200 people that get into the Patreon will get into a 240 plus man league. And here is the Patreon situation. $10 a month, cancel any time, get those live chats. First 200 people get into this big league. If you keep your Patreon active the entire time and you win the league, you can get into the Dynasty League. But you do, in order to get the Dynasty League, you won't get kicked out. If you join the Patreon for 2 or 3 months and you leave it, you'll still stay in this league. But if you win this league, one of the 11 leagues, there'll be 11 different leagues. The 11 winners will join a Dynasty League with me in 2025. You do have to keep your membership. It's all about the Patreon. But you won't get kicked out of this particular league. This will be on a Saturday. We'll draft all 11 drafts on 1 or 2 day marathon type of event. I'll see you all later. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching the Dynasty channel. I'm live tomorrow on the main channel. Don't forget all my channels, everything I got going on, thefantasyfootballshow.com. That's the main channel, link in description. This is the Dynasty channel, youtube.com/dynastyfantasyfootball. Don't forget thefantasyfootballshow.com and the Patreon. See you later. Oh, and thank you, Superfish and Coble. You were absolute monsters dropping those gifted memberships, reigniting that. We definitely, since I haven't been live, the memberships have kind of lapsed a little bit. People are like, I don't know if he's coming back. I'm coming back. So I appreciate you rejuvenating the pool of people. So let's keep those going. I promise you more Dynasty content to come. I will get back to daily, and that isn't a next year goal. That's like a now goal. I'm trying to get there now. Appreciate you all. Build a tickler to the moon. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Sick Nasty. Thank you, DeBalt, if he's in here. Thank you, all my mods. Space Ricky, Blackbeard, Terry Roberts, anybody else that's in here moderating. Hoosiers, appreciate you. Appreciate you, Coble. Thank you, Superfish and Coble again. Sick Nasty to the moon. Build a tickler to the moon. I'm out of here. Deuces.